Your body doesn't need intensity. It needs consistency and safety. That consistency builds the safety for you. And when your body feels safe, that's when your guard gets let down, your detox pathways open up, your muscles are no longer tense, and your body's no longer holding on to everything. You will begin to see the weight slough off whenever you create the safety in the body that it needs. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Christian Wellness for Weary Women. I'm your host, Cassie Hutton. Thanks for joining me back here on another week's podcast episode. I binge watched some episodes a couple weeks ago, and in every single one of her episodes, she started with, hey friends, hey friends. So if you hear me repeat myself with that one, I hope you learn to love it, because I ended up loving her voice and the fact that she did not shy away from that, and she didn't care that she said the same thing over and over again. So thanks for being here today. Today we're going to talk about the 5 most common, I tried to find the most common health mistakes that are just mistakes that I see women make along their health journey, their recovery journey, in the process of trying to take care of their body. And they don't realize it's actually causing them to step into more depletion, more burnout, more brain fog, more anxiety, more central nervous system overload. Okay. So we're going to get into all of those things. But first, I want to tell you about something that I have coming. I'm so excited about this. I am working on 2 different things, 2 different packages. In fact, the packaging that I'm offering now, which I haven't been offering it for very long, but this is just me ironing out the wrinkles in my brand new business and trying to figure out what works for you guys and what fits what I want to do as well. And so I am working on a 1-hour coaching call where we dive into how you can rebuild your energy in around 7 days. It's going to be simple. It's going to be straightforward. It's going to be very focused, and it's going to be very low cost. So if you have wanted to work with me, but you can't afford working with me, this is going to be something that I highly recommend. Make sure you get on my email list so that you know when it comes available, because obviously I only have so much time during the day and the week, and I'm not going to overexert myself. And so if you want in on this 1-hour coaching call, make sure you go down to sign up for my email list so that you know when it comes out. It's going to be coming out just in a few weeks. I've already built the sales page for it. I've already worked on the structure for it and what we're going to focus on during that session, and how I'm going to follow up with you, and how I'm going to bring it to you and make sure that it is really, really good for you and really valuable for both of our time. And then I've got something else coming down as well. And so just get on the email list, join the Facebook group so that you can stay up to date. Okay. So let's dive into today's episode. The 5 mistakes. Let's start with number 1. And I would say that a lot of us find ourselves in many of these at different times, but some women, I watch them try and try and try to take back their health, and they try harder and they try harder. And it's actually not about trying harder. It's actually about making sure that your mindset is there and that you are actually providing safety for your body. Okay. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that, a lot of women think that it's better to punish their body so that it can lose the weight or get better. And so you'll see a lot of restricting. You'll see them working out longer hours, trying to lift heavier weights. And so they're over exercising. They might try all the crazy things, like cold plunging or intermittent fasting, and really pushing their body harder instead of slowing down and recognizing that, oh, my body actually needs safety here. My body has actually been in fight or flight for so long, and that this is all that they know, right? And so they think that it's about more obedience, more restriction, instead of recognizing, no, it's actually right now about trying to pour into the body so that we can create safety for the body. I always say the body. I don't know why I say that, but it's about creating safety for you. And it's about making sure we're not doing things to raise our cortisol levels, which are already really high. And that's probably the reason why we're experiencing depletion, brain fog, and weight gain. Okay. And so doing things like cold plunges raises cortisol levels. And a lot of times this actually becomes an addictive thing. Cortisol can be an addiction for people. And we've run on this whole hustle culture for so long that we try to slow down, but yet the body still needs that cortisol spike because it learns to run off of it. And that's what things like cold plunging and intermittent fasting can do for you, is spike your cortisol levels. And so it again continues the cycle of dysregulation, and the nervous system cannot heal. And so slowing down is actually restoring the energy a lot faster than restriction and trying to go over exercise and do too much. Okay. And it's the start of a new year. You know, a lot of people have set that goal to start working out. So just make sure you're not overdoing it. Make sure you're doing something like my workouts are seriously no more than 30 minutes. Warm up, warm down, and the exercise. And so I'm trying not to overexert myself. I'm not doing a whole lot of cardio because that also spikes the heart rate. You know what works best for you. Everybody is different. And so if you like to run, if you like to get your heart rate up, then just make sure you're doing it in a healthy way and you're not overdoing it. And so healing starts when the body feels safe enough to change. It's about safety over discipline. That's what I want you to get from this first mistake, is that it's about safety over discipline and not punishing the body. Instead, we want to create safety in the body. So mistake number 2, I hope you're taking notes. Treating a diet like it's restriction instead of therapy and healing for the body. Okay. Again, this kind of touches on mistake number 1, that we are trying to punish the body. You don't want to punish the body with food. Food is our nourishment. God gave us food so that we can stay alive. And so if we begin to use food as punishment for our body and as a way to restrict our body, and if we think the food is what's actually causing us to gain the weight and to feel bad, which it can, because if you're not eating the right kinds of foods, then yes, it can cause, if you're not eating the God-given foods that God gave us on this earth, if it's not a whole food, meaning it comes from the ground or it's from a mother, then yes, is probably causing you some health issues. So whenever you change to that clean diet, and we're going to touch on that in a second, many of you are eating a clean diet but still not seeing the changes, then it's about time to switch the mindset from seeing it as I'm restricting myself. Okay, Adam and Eve in the garden, I've touched on this before, when God showed them this is everything that you can have. This is the mindset that you have to have if you're going to start cutting things, pruning, okay? Start seeing it as a pruning instead of a restrictive thing. I'm pruning these things out of my diet so that I can heal, so that I can lose weight, so that fill in the blank, okay? But then here comes the enemy, and what happens? He's like, oh, here's this one thing that you can't have. And all of a sudden, that's all that they could see was the restriction. They just became hyper fixated on what they couldn't have. And so if you're going to diet, it does take a strong mindset. You have to go into it with the right mindset. And so you cannot approach a diet like punishment or control. So clean eating even can still be starvation in disguise if you are seeing it as restriction instead of therapy. Therapeutic nutrition is about building, not shrinking. Food is information and fuel, not a moral test. Okay? If your diet makes your life smaller, then it's not healing you. If you don't look forward to it, if you don't see that it's actually healing your body and doing something good for you and helping you to reach your goals, then again, restriction is not the goal. God never called us to walk in restriction and poverty and seeing things as less than, okay? Mistake number 3, calorie restriction, starving yourselves. Even if you don't call it that. None of us are going to say we're starving ourselves. But you are when you are cutting down your calorie restriction to way too little. So here's the thing. The body needs that safety again. Okay. It's already malnourished. Most likely, if you're in a state of depletion, if you're in a state where the body is holding on to things, then it's already in a place where it's not feeling healthy enough and it doesn't feel safe enough. And so then you restrict its calories. And then it's like, oh my gosh, what are we doing now? Now it tenses up even more and causes more stress in the body. And so skipping meals, intermittent fasting on an already depleted system can be very stressful. We've already touched on this. Low appetite being mistaken for discipline. That's a big one. Fear of carbs, salt, or even eating enough. And so your goal each and every day needs to be around 2,000 calories, especially if you are in a depleted state. Now, if you're healthy and there's still a goal of wanting to lose some weight, then you can restrict those calories a little bit, but I would never go under around 1,800 calories a day because you're really pushing, especially if you're going to do it for a longer amount of time, then you're pushing into something that is just, you don't want to play with that. You don't want to fall into depletion. I mean, we're all going to get old and die. We're all going to be depleted at some point. And so you want to take care of your body the best way that you can. Now, I want to touch on this one, the fear of carbs and eating enough. Both of those go hand in hand, I feel like. But the fear of carbs, because I have learned that it is actually a good thing to cut out a lot of starchy carbs. And as we've seen in the Trump administration, they have changed the food pyramid. They've basically flipped it upside down. And we know now that protein is a priority and carbs are and grains are one of the lower priorities on the food pyramid. And I can attest to this, that going through burnout and rebalancing my minerals, one of the last things that I focused on was cutting out grains and cutting out starchy carbs or any kind of carb that, because when we think about starchy carbs, we think of more like potatoes and things like that. Yes, that's a starchy carb. But a starchy carb even includes raw milk because it has lactose in it. A starchy carb includes corn because it has a certain sugar in it that feeds bad bacteria in the gut. And so there's a lot of foods that I cut out, but I also added in a lot of fermented foods. I also added in a lot of meat stock that I drink daily, like you would a bone broth or something like that. But it's not bone broth. I want to be clear. There's a difference and there's a reason for it, because bone broth, if you are dealing with leaky gut or anything with the gut, bone broth can cross the blood-brain barrier and cause an opioid effect. And so that's very important when you're dealing with someone who's been chronically ill and needs to repair, okay? So starchy carbs can be something that is a good thing to stay away from. I can attest to that. But we don't need to fear them at the same time. I stayed away from them for 3 months and then we went on vacation, the holidays hit. And so I didn't have a fear of eating them at the same time. It was hard sometimes. And I did have to like process some of the guilt or like, oh, you ate too much or you shouldn't have had that one. Okay. But also the key is in moderation, right? I'm not going to just go out there and indulge myself on 5 donuts. I could have half a donut or something like that. We're going to like proportion ourselves. Okay. So a starved body prioritizes survival, not hormones, sleep, or joy. It's going to prioritize survival. So it's just going to make sure you have what you need, whether you're paying the price for it or not. And you cannot heal burnout in a calorie deficit. So if you are in that place, it's not time to restrict your diet anymore. Do not starve yourself. Mistake number 4, having no intentional goal. Okay. This is really important because this is one thing that I have to work with my clients on specifically. I have to really lay it out for them. Number 1, because they literally don't have the capacity to think about it. They are so burnt out and depleted and have so much on their plate that they do need me to spell out a goal for them, even if it's just one simple thing. And so making sure that you're not just setting a goal that is, well, I want to lose weight. Well, let's get a little bit more intentional here. How much weight do you want to lose? And then the next step is, how are you going to get there? There has to be some sort of roadmap, and so that you're intentional about it. And so I just want to feel better, obviously, is not a plan. And your plan needs to be simple. It needs to be clear. And again, it needs to have that time frame. And so if you want to improve your sleep consistency, well, it would probably be good for you to set a goal to go to bed by a certain time. And For me, ideally, I love to go to bed by 9 p.m. I like to have my dinner a little bit early, then it's time to relax. And my body naturally is like, I'm tired, I'm done, I'm over it, I'm going to bed. And I can actually fall asleep now. I spent 3 years basically with insomnia. I would lay down, be extremely tired, and could not go to sleep. And it was terrible. And so now when my body actually gets tired, I'm like, I love this feeling. It feels so good to get sleepy and tired and to know that when my head hits the pillow, I'm actually going to go to sleep now. It's amazing. And so if you want better sleep consistency, that can be your goal. I want to go to bed by 9 p.m. Which is a really good goal because restorative sleep and detoxing is very important. And some of the best detoxing that you do is before midnight. So go to bed. Okay. Go to bed. When the sun goes down, get ready for bed. Set that goal. And so this matters because with goals, women jump into protocols really easily. They see that thing, they see the promise, it worked for somebody, they see that person looks good, and so they jump into it, jump on it, and they don't really step back and go, but is this going to work for me? Is this actually what my body needs? Okay. And so what happens, by the way, protocols suck. Okay. If you're not working with something that gives that freedom for bio individuality, then get out of it. Or make sure that you have the wherewithal to make it fit your needs, okay? Because what happens whenever we jump into something without a goal is it keeps us in that fight or flight nervous system, hellhole, so to speak. And you want to get out of it. That is your goal. That's why you're here and listening, is because you want to get out of that. Okay, so mistake number 5 that I see is women doing too much too fast. Okay, trying to do all the things all at once instead of implementing baby steps in that plan, in that goal. Okay, so if your goal is to lose weight, they're going to try to start working out and change their diet and waking up early and all the things all at once instead of, okay, how about what's attainable to me? Is working out easier or is changing my diet easier? And start with that one thing. And even if it's changing your diet, then okay, we're going to have to step into that one step at a time. You're not going to go run a marathon the first day you start working out. You're going to go slow so that you don't hurt a muscle, so you don't pull a muscle. The same thing applies to anything that we start. We've got to go low and slow, one step at a time. So more supplements, more protocols, more rules does not equal faster healing like we want to think that it does. And the body adapts through capacity and not overwhelm. And so, as with everything, when we begin to introduce something most of us don't have 6 kids all at once, right? Because it would be a lot to handle. We have 1 kid at a time, most of us. Maybe you had 2, but most of us are going to have 1 kid at a time, and then we're going to add another one and another one and another one and another one. In my case, 5. But that's the point, is that we're going to go into it low and slow to make sure that we're not overwhelmed and doing too much all at once. So one change layered on top of another, and your body, this is what I want you to gather from all of this. Your body doesn't need intensity. It needs consistency and safety. That consistency builds the safety for you. And when your body feels safe, that's when your guard gets let down, your detox pathways open up, your muscles are no longer tense, and your body's no longer holding on to everything. You will begin to see the weight slough off whenever you create the safety in the body that it needs. So let's touch on our 5 mistakes one more time before we jump off of here. Mistake number 1, punishing the body instead of creating safety. Mistake number 2, treating the diet like restriction instead of therapy. Mistake number 3, starving yourself even when you don't call it that. Calorie restrictions is the other word for it. Number 4, not setting intentional goals, just having this fix me energy, and your energy's already low. So there you go. Mistake number 5, doing too much too fast. So if you find yourself doing any of those, especially in this new year, it's a new year and a new you, and you're taking care of you, and you've got, the intentions to do great things this year, which one of those can you take and start implementing. Switch the truth, change the lie, and slow down so that your body can begin to actually heal. Thanks for joining me on this episode. Let me know what you loved about this podcast episode. If you like it, if you want more like this, or what kind of topics you want me to cover. I would love to hear from you. I'll see you next week on the next episode.